I've missed the familia. It's been a couple of years, to be honest. I've been dealing with some health issues and on the mend. So, you know, given all of the things happening in the landscape these days, I felt it was very important to get back involved and see what we can do to help the community. So thank you for having me and this amazing panel. So I want to kick it off by, first of all, thanking Ernesto, Katty, and Alejandro. It's amazing to have leaders like you come here to be able to share with the community what you have as far as experience and success, especially given the pandemic and economic transformation that I would say has been a requirement for businesses to be digital. So I think the community is going to be able to learn a lot. And what I'd like to do is have you all maybe just give a quick summary of your role and expertise and kind of company focus. So with that, I will start with Ernesto.
Sure. So thank you very much for having me. I truly appreciate the opportunity to be able to speak. And I think definitely the topic that we're going to be talking today is going to be, it is really close to what we're doing here at Western Union. So I will definitely tell you more. But in a nutshell, a little bit of my background, I've been in technology for the last 20 years. I was lucky enough that Accenture was the one who got me into technology many years and did many different set of work with Accenture around the United States. And then after that, I got a chance to work for Visa, where at the time we were trying to make Visa public and make it one single company across the globe. So phenomenal amount of initiatives and changing the culture of a company and trying to move it into being a public company and run as a public company was a great amount of challenges and again, a lot of experience for me. And after that, I had the opportunity to work for Intuit, which is a very, it's a technology company, very focused on the customer, very focused on the technology, and it's all about the product and how you can serve as a product, which has been, it gave me a great foundation to, again, continue looking about how do we support customers around the world in any way. And then moved to Western Union, which has been my role, has been initially leading the digital engineering team to be able to continue implementing the digital strategy for Western Union. Now I'm the Chief Technology Officer responsible for the overall product engineering of the company. So that's me.
Excellent. Thank you, Ernesto, and phenomenal background and something for the community to know. Ernesto actually helped to get Intuit to host one of the HITEC summits a few years back. So always been very engaged and appreciate all that you do for the community. So Katty, you'll be next, and you can talk a little bit about your background and NetSuite, Oracle.
Thank you so much. Hi, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon. Thank you for having me here. My name is Katty Coulson, and a little bit of my background. I am Latina from Mexico, and I started my career in technology also almost 20 years ago. And the first team that hired me was called the digitization team. So don't think that this whole digital transformation is new. It goes back about 2 decades. I was in Mexico, General Electric. Then life brought me here to the United States. I spent about 14 years at Cisco. Great time there, not only because I get to know HITEC, get involved in inclusion and diversity, but also spend 14 years immersing technology. It was last year when I moved to Oracle. I am in the business unit for NetSuite. And what we do is we are cloud native. We are the #1 cloud provider for ERP, and essentially it's a unified solution that runs all your business processes, ERP, financials, e-commerce, CRM, you name it. So very much in the weeds of anything and everything digital. My role at the group is Vice President of IT. In addition to that, just 2 call-outs. One is I am passionate about getting involved with our community, mainly in promoting STEM education and opportunities for young students out there. And then the second is that even though you see this very clearly, I'm fine. I am a mother of 3 children, which means I am running a full elementary, middle school, and high school program downstairs. So if you see me running for a second, just excuse me. Thank you.
Awesome, thank you. And Alejandro, I know you've been a longtime member and probably many people know you, but let's give you a little bit about your background.
Sure, no, great to be back. Thank you so much. Good morning and good afternoon, everyone. Alejandro Mainetto, based in Miami, originally from Peru, and that's what my Zoom background is for anybody that was curious. That's Lima, Peru. I've been in the industry for a while. I always say I've been doing digital since I had a full set of hair. So I've been in the industry for a while. I've had a CIO and CTO type roles. I've been in consulting for many years. And also I've been an entrepreneur a couple of times at least. For the last year or so, I've been with a company called Overactive, which is a digital services consulting firm. And we specialize in helping companies innovate in digital, and then also helping companies build new or modernize, existing digital products and services that they may have. So we are having a great time. We operate throughout the Caribbean, Latin America, and the U.S. And I have responsibilities for sales in North America, amongst other things. So a pleasure to be here. Happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Excellent. Well, I'm guessing you're extremely busy given all of the transformation needed these days.
Yes.
So to kick it off, we have a series of questions that I'll be asking, but one of the more important questions, and I can even give a little bit of example from some of the clients that we work with. One of our retail clients, everybody talks about retail being the most impacted. We actually worked with them and they put together a phenomenal digital strategy before the pandemic, which, had average results before the pandemic. But since the pandemic, they've actually, their digital channel has grown over 300%, which has been phenomenal for them. And, while many other retailers were drastically impacted, they were actually able to thrive. So, it's a testament to how having that right digital strategy has saved many businesses. But to jump into it, Ernesto, maybe you can kick us off with how important was your digital strategy and how important has it been for the success of Western Union since the pandemic?
Sure. Definitely has been key for us. Our digital strategy helped us to continue supporting our customers around the world, right? The first thing that happened when all the countries started closing was that all our physical locations started closing and people were not able to send money to whoever needed the money. And we started struggling because usually, I don't know how much you guys may know, but our core or big portion of our business is in the retail space, right? We have around 60% or almost 70% of our revenue goes from our 550,000 locations that we have around the world. So most of them got shut down. The company started looking into ways that we can continue connecting people around the world, that we can help people to send money and receive money everywhere, that without having to move to any physical location or have people kind of be exposed to what was happening. So thank God we were ahead on our expansion from a digital perspective, but it was not enough to just have a website and a mobile, but it was how can we connect better with our customers? How can we avoid them to telling you, be able to send money without having to go and give the cash or pick up the money out of a car or pick up the money in their bank accounts. And if you're not hands-on on a mobile app or on a web, because most of our clients happen not necessarily to be very tech savvy around the world, how can we help you? So we use actually Zoom as an example. I know sometimes we think that digital has to be really techy, but we actually use Zoom to be able to support customers live that we're calling in our call centers to help them and hand-holding them doing the first digital transactions. So then they can become digital. So as many stories you guys have heard in the world, we definitely, our digital expansion has been significantly. We double month over month, we continue expanding. faster. We have, like I said, we have been able to be with our customer, which is the most important thing, and close to them, right? And another part that we did that I think has been proven very successful, because the company, as many of your companies, also went and start working from home. So digital was not just for our customers, but also was for our employees. And we were able to keep up not only the pace of our job and keep all our employees protected, even though I know you can see that I'm in the office, but that's a different story now. But we physically will continue doing the business without any single impact. We're able to literally digitize everybody as fast as we can. And sometimes people don't think that Western Union is a technology company, but we definitely rely, and we sell many technology products. So our key was to how do we keep our employees engagement? How do we create what we call rally teams to be able to focus on our customers and take our digital strategy and expand it as fast as we can? And I think that's what we've been able to do. And right now it's a great success story for Western Union, despite of what everybody's suffering and what's going on around the world. But the best thing, and we're really proud, is that we were there for our customers, and we're still there for our customers. So that's kind of how it helped us and help our customers.
Excellent. Thank you, Ernesto. And because of your amazing leadership, we've seen a lot of headlines from Western Union, and the impact that you've been able to have, your company's had across the globe has been really, really amazing to see. So thank you for that. So Katty, I'll let you continue on if you have more to share about that first question.
Yeah, absolutely. From my experience, especially this 2020, we have been cloud native since the beginning. So digital since the beginning, good, strong, obviously, digital strategy and foundation. So when these change in 2020 comes to be, we were able to pretty seamlessly transition, even continue at the same speed, servicing our customers, continue our operations, and moving the employees around. What I saw was just minimal adjustments in logistics. How do you onboard an employee that is not going to the office, that has to be remote? How do you issue breakfast swapping machines? How do you enable just processes? But we fortunately did not find ourselves in a position where we had to revisit our digital strategy or implement a digital strategy. We basically switch, everybody moved from home, but continue moving at the same speed.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I think a lot, it's funny, I think a lot of us tend to look at how can we actually maintain and grow our business with our digital strategy. But as both of you have noted, it's very important actually also in the pandemic, style of what we need for digital strategy is really internal focused as well. So thank you both for highlighting that. And we'll get into a little bit more of that later. I think that's a good topic point that maybe some of the HITEC community might have questions about as we continue on. And Alejandro, did you have more you wanted to share with this, or should we move on?
Yeah. I wanted to give you a little different perspective coming from a services company. So for us, I think that the good news is that we already had, and we're way ahead of our implementation of what we called our digital strategy. I think that there's 4 components that really helped us sort of propel ahead. One was the deployment and the acceleration of a lot of the workloads and systems that we had into the cloud. And that was well ahead of schedule, and that helped us tremendously. Not only internally, but also to service our clients better. I think the second thing was then the deployment of what we call fully capable, environments for folks. Didn't matter where they're at. We have people in a large number of countries, and we wanted to make sure that there was no downtime and that they feel comfortable and fully operational and working in this sort of new scenario. In Latin America, you want to believe that working in the office, it's something that actually people enjoyed, right? Because of the relationship and sort of the camaraderie and talking to one another. But so culturally was a bit of a change But because what we do day in and day out is technology, I think that the ability that we had all these workloads ready to go and the models ready to go to work from home, it was sort of seamless. One thing that we had to sort of overcome, and I know it happens still in a lot of companies, is the video culture, right? So switching to turning on your camera, which culturally was difficult for some people. Now in every meeting that we have, nobody even hesitates to do that. And that's how you bring back into the table a little bit more of the, getting to know you and seeing a face. One of the things that also typically for us wasn't part necessarily of our digital strategy, but we sort of forced it at the end, was the need to integrate our business continuity plan, something that we test on a regular basis, but we really never had to do it at this sort of scale. And we're glad that we made it part of it. The last thing I'll do is I'll leave you with, another 3 or 4 things that then we had to do as part of our digital strategy to serve our clients. So one of them was that we had to increase the amount of projects that we were doing around also moving our clients into the cloud. That was probably the last 6 months has been a huge component of that. The second one was around, bringing new clients sort of onto e-commerce models that before they didn't have, or capabilities and scalability models that they didn't even foresee, right? In some cases, I have a story of a customer that, their numbers went 1,000%, right? From where they were in February to where they're at right now. Another one, 600%. And so to prepare for those changes from an e-commerce perspective, there were just, phenomenal things that we had to do very, very quickly. The last one is around sort of modernizing their systems. So for the first time, people started paying attention. Many clients started paying attention to saying, you know what, I really need to start modernizing these legacy systems and these legacy systems that are not cloud native, right? And so new development paradigms had to come in and that we had to implement and, look at things like, the next gen of microservices and, serverless, development and topics like that were really relevant now for our clients. At the end of the day, we had to teach our clients how to innovate more rapidly, but also how to get more comfortable in this new, more agile world.
Excellent. Well, thank you for all that. And I couldn't agree more. Especially the move to the cloud, we've seen that a lot and with a lot of our Fortune 50 financial services clients that were so apprehensive about moving to the cloud. And now everybody's, trying to race there as quickly as they can. And I think this has helped move that along. And, with us focusing a lot on cybersecurity, there's been, tremendous work involved in making sure that all the right controls are put in place and, the right governance as well, so that they're meeting the compliance standards. So that I think is very, very on point. So I guess to kind of hone in for our community here, what would you say, and Alejandro, I'll let you kick this one off. What would you say has been the most successful and or important decision that you've either implemented within your own company or for maybe one of your clients that you've seen the biggest impact?
Thank you. I'm probably going to touch on a couple of things here. The first one is sort of the internal focus strategy or what you call the most important thing that we did. And it was to really make the work from home thing in an indefinite thing, right? And so now we have a policy that we don't have a time when we need to come back to work. Our company has a heavy presence in Uruguay and Argentina. And if you've been reading a little bit about what's been happening in LATAM, Uruguay has been the country across the Americas, which has been the sort of the least impacted, right? Because of the great work that the government has done, the different companies, but also culturally, the people have been following, orders. And so, they've been the least impacted. However, we still have this policy that nobody's going back to work until everybody feels comfortable. And that's been tremendous because it's given people confidence. It's given people the ability to feel like, they could operate in whichever way do they need. And that's been sort of the internal focus. I had a customer call me the other day regarding an issue that they had because he had a team in India, really, where they were forcing people to go back to work. They were making those employees go back to work. And we can talk about productivity all day long, but just the fact that these folks did not feel comfortable going back to work and they were being forced really, made that even the people that were hiring those folks really uncomfortable. I think that the one thing that is externally focused that we did that was most important is really staying close to our customers. I think that we had to work really creatively because even though the majority of our customers, we were able to retain, over 98% probably of them, there were a few within that 98% that were not doing well. And so one of the things that we did is we forgot about, invoices, and we forgot about SOWs, and we forgot about things that really, at that time, they really didn't matter for us. For us, it was about getting them through these issues first, taking that approach and philosophy, and then we could always figure out about the SOW later, or we can figure out about the contract later. In many cases, we ended up adding capacity to almost every customer that we had, which is unheard of, unprecedented, to figure out that people were actually increasing their capacity instead of sort of laying off people. So those were a couple of things that I could probably highlight.
Excellent. And Kathy, how about you? Most important decision? Or we can go over to Ernesto.
Yeah, I don't think there's one silver bullet. I think it's keeping an eye on three things that summarize the digital strategy. Keeping an eye on the business strategy. Is that the same? Has that changed? Where has that changed? And is the operating model still supporting that strategy the way it stands? And if that moves, how does the operating model needs to adapt and adapt quickly? The second one is the customer experience. Do their patterns change? How did they change? And how do we ensure that their experience with us is the best? And then number three is employee empowerment, whether it is mobility, whether it's access to data, whether it is collaboration, all of that. But I think in looking at this through the lens of 2020 and looking internally, not so much externally, is communication. Because everybody is dispersed, but you can have, remote collaboration as a matter of your everyday. This year was different. Right. So communicate. Where do we stand with our goals? Where do we stand with our strategy? What's changing? What's not changing? And then keep motivating the team so we stay productive and efficient and frankly inspired, because we thought we just had the coronavirus to worry about. But if you are here in California with me, you know that now we have a lot more to worry about. Yes.
Yeah, these fires are fun.
I feel like I have some ashtrays here behind my chicken. Anyway, back to you.
It gives for a nice raspy voice, All right, and Ernesto, if you had to pick, one thing or two things, what would you say has been the most important for your decision of what you've implemented?
I think we have one, and I think what we did was, believe it or not, for a 160 plus year old company, we changed the way we work. Not just that everybody was working from home, but we create what we call internally rally teams. We focus on no more than 10 different items that ranges from how do we going to support employees, right, working from home, as Kathy was talking about, and offices and things like that. But we focus on just specific items, and we have teams of 100 people or so, right? I mean, how do we, talking about back on digital, how do we change the KYC, the know your customer process, right? So it can be digital. How do we support differently in call centers, but we create these rally teams that not only they have to work together, they have specific roles within it, but we have to meet pretty much really large meetings every day. And I tell you, when I was in San Francisco, it started at 5 in the morning. So we get updates and make decisions pretty quickly for the day, right? Again, it was part of learning how to work more remote than we have had in the past. But the key was that we have people 100% focus on no more than 10 items across the company. And I think that what actually turned around the company and be able to support the customers the way I'm telling you. There were parts that were unbelievably successful that we implement. There were parts that may not, I'm thinking about from a company perspective that were not necessarily revenue drivers or anything like that that was successful. But again, for us, for a 160-year-old company to turn around and support our customers that fast, I think that was a key decision, is to embrace a new way of doing work. And now we're doing that. We are changing the way we do work. It's still in Minds culture and things like that is becoming a little bit more and more adopted, but it's difficult for people to change how do we do our daily lives. But it is a decision. Change how do we work and focus on one item together.
Yeah, that's amazing. And just in my interaction working with you and your teams briefly, the one thing I've been really impressed with seeing is the level of automation that you guys have embraced as well, which I think is, very important in working through your digital strategy. So that's been amazing. Also, I guess, I would guess that most of you have probably already done this within your digital business, but what advice can you give as far as how you've assessed your customers' needs and behavior changes so that you can, first of all, help them during this time, but also look at ways to monetize it so that you see your company grow. And so, Kathy, I'll turn this over to you.
Yeah, over the past few months, we have had multiple challenges, but one good thing that has happened is that, the situation has basically eliminated the resistance to change. So there's a very fast change in mindset because we have no options. So all of a sudden you bring up, your digital idea or initiative or, the halfway through project that we had, and it has a new sense of urgency. So that is good. What we have also seen is innovation everywhere. For example, one of our customers, they produce flexible components. When you go to the store and buy bread, there's a plastic bag and then there is this flexible strip that closes it. Well, that component, it's also part of the face mask that we use as PPP, right? It goes over your nose. They also have plastic bands, the ones that keep together your 6-pack of soda or water. So what they did is they were already producing those strips for the face mask, and the I&D team in this company said, okay, for this plastic wrapper, if we make it bigger so it fits the head, and with the same raw materials we create a visor, we can start providing PPP products to essential business, clinics, hospitals, etc. They were doing that, and we were working with them, getting them set up with their ERP. You can imagine the sense of urgency they have on that, but also their sales reps were going on and on and on and on with calls because other businesses started figuring it out that they were selling PPP. So a need for e-commerce also came along. The biggest change, again, had nothing to do, well, maybe it had to do, but there was no resistance. There was a need, there was an adaptation to the change, and we were able to help them out.
That's awesome. Yeah, and those are the feel-good stories too, yes, because you're also enabling, somebody, a company to provide all that PPE to, businesses, and a lot of us haven't been able to get certain PPE. So that's awesome. Ernesto, would you like to also hone in on this one?
Yeah, I think the part that we kind of realized that we have to do better and better, and we've been doing it at, is trying to remove friction for our customers. And the reason is, as I mentioned earlier, most of our customers have been in the retail business where you physically go in and do your transaction. Now we have a lot of the people that sadly cannot now send money because they have lost their money, their jobs and things like that. They cannot even now go to a physical location. Our type of customers change significantly as well. So it's not like we just digitize a bunch of retail folks. We did not necessarily do that. We got a lot of new customers, and we got customers that are much more familiar with the digital world, right? And even though, I mean, definitely I'll speak very highly about our experience, still because of complexity regulations and things like that, and banks and all what brings financial services into it is not necessarily easy to take money from A and move it to B, right? But what we have been doing is definitely working in how we can reduce the friction of our customers. So these people that came brand new to us, how can we keep them more and more with us? Because you cannot, you only, I mean, you don't send just money because somebody needed. You send money because, I mean, you want to pay somebody because that's a service in another country to your family, or you want to pay bills, or you want to do many other businesses that we sometimes don't realize that companies like us can offer. So ideally is how can we attract and continue with these customers in a different mode, because we happen to acquire a new set of great customers and we want to keep them and want to continue supporting them. So that's kind of what I think we've been doing differently is focusing on the customer experience and how we can make a frictionless experience for them.
Excellent. Alejandro?
Sure. So I think we've noticed a few things from our customers. So the first one is an interesting dilemma that exists. One is that they've become much more price conscious, right? But at the same time, well, they're not mutually exclusive. They've become very much quality focused as well. And so that's an interesting dilemma that we've had to sort of navigate and sort of work with them. At the same time, you know, becoming much more and definitely getting identified as a more, you know, valuable partner for them. The second thing is around really focusing on the experience of working remotely and being an agile, truly an agile business. And we've had to train a lot of our customers in that aspect. We work with multitude different companies, and some of them, you know, they would claim, and you probably all have heard this, yeah, we do agile, but really they don't do that. They don't do agile, right? Or yeah, we do a lot of, you know, we're a digital business. They're not really a digital business yet. You know, they work on some digital stuff, but they're you know, they're not, you know, digital yet. And so we've had to train a lot of customers on how to move finally once and for all onto those new paradigms. One that has happened a lot in terms of customer behavior that has worked sort of in our favor when you talk about monetizing, you know, these things, is that I've seen a lot of clients over the last 6 months move away from India and look at a nearshore option. And so definitely look at LATAM as one of those options for two reasons primarily. One is because India, from an infrastructure perspective, is nowhere near where LATAM is. And so what they've seen is you know, very bad cases sometimes of code in production getting lost, or the infrastructure of the person that was working from home not working very well. And when you gotta launch something in production, that stuff is just not acceptable, right? And so the infrastructure is one. The other thing is when that they really wanna work in an agile mode more than ever, because now everybody's remotely. Having to wake somebody up in the middle of the night just doesn't work anymore either. You know, so a lot of our customers, at least 6 out of 10 of our customers, you know, that we've talked to in the last, you know, couple of months are people that are moving away from India and looking at nearshore as an option. The last one is, I would say then that, and this has happened because of the number of things that I mentioned around us becoming a much more flexible partner. It's really sort of advancing the level of what we consider being a supplier versus a true advisor. And we've been able to, you know, monetize that as a byproduct, not really because that's what we intended to do initially, but being a good citizen sort of paid off, right? And being a good partner in every sense of the word, you know, has really monetized by itself because they've taken us and they've considered us now a more strategic partner than the other ones that were still playing, you know, games while the stuff was going on.
Right, right. Now I can relate to that completely. We've done that with many of our clients, whether it's you know, working with them on flexible payment terms and you know, forgiveness or other things, you know, to help them through these tough times. And you know, obviously, as a services business or product reseller, you know, we're not a charity, so it's not, you're not a nonprofit, but wherever you can help, and you know, get rid of some of those margins in order to help during these tough times. I think we've all had to take that hit and do what we can to help our customers. You know, one thing in taking into account that a lot of, you know, this community is a technology-based community. What I'd like to dive into a little bit more is maybe what advice can you share with the HITEC Familia about creating or enhancing their digital strategy? And can you, you know, give more depth on either the technology or processes that you're using in order to help them kind of take things to the next level? And whoever wants to jump in and take the reins on that, please feel free. All right, Katty.
See, I raised my hand.
I saw that. That was good.
Two things. The first one is take a good look at yourself and your business. Where do you stand today with your digital foundations? What has changed and what has remained the same with your business strategy, with your customer behavior, with your employees' patterns now that they are maybe remotely, maybe coming with some conditions to the workforce, etc. And once you have that really good and honest snapshot, then make a plan. And the plan may include, you know, consider cloud offerings. Mm-hmm. And also probably invest in key resources to make a good, strong digital team. You may say, well, we have everybody we need. That's great. But maybe you will find you should invest in somebody from the outside who can give you access to, you know, connections or suppliers or you name it. The third one is be a learner. Learn from this experience, learn from your suppliers, learn from your customers, learn from your employees, and even your competition. And then lastly, don't lose speed. Now that we don't have resistance to change because we have a new reality, make sure that you keep streamlined decision-making processes and bring your company along with good communication and change management.
Yes, that's a great one to, I think, harp on. And you know, as Rahm Emanuel once said, never let a good crisis go to waste. So from
never let a good crisis go to waste. That's it. You dropped the mic.
Absolutely, gotta make sure you take advantage of that. Ernesto, Alejandro, either of you want to weigh in on this?
Yeah, I mean, my advice is and has been even is that we need to know what our customers want. I mean, it's multidimensional, right? I mean, I think what Katty was talking about is very important, and I'll talk about it a little bit on the technology side, but we need to truly understand what our customers want, not what we think they want. And I know you get to hear this right and left from many different forums about knowing your customer and things like that, but they're the ones using our technology or products, right? And we need to listen to them, and we need to see how can we help them. Right, this is our responsibility. I mean, putting aside revenue and all those things that the companies are I mean, it's important for the companies, but that's the one part. And I think the other part that Katty mentioned is definitely speed, right? This is where the technology comes, and it means that, believe me, it is difficult. And I'm not saying that in our world is simple. We still use mainframe technology. We still use BB6. We still use a lot of legacy technology, but it is our duty right now, and it is our job to move all this new technology to a newer and simplify architecture, make it an event-driven architecture, change all that in a cloud first, so we can go back and have speed to market. We can go and try different things. We can go back and understand what the customer wants, but just enable one thing for the customer to see how that works. And if it works, continue. If it doesn't work, shift and move to something else. I mean, customers are very savvy nowadays with everything that is related to technology. Again, you have all kind of different levels, but definitely most of our customers, and the youngest customers, as you guys know, are even better than some of us. So it is important to know what they want. And I think speed and quality, definitely, it is going to make a big difference to be able to deliver that product experience that you wanna give to your customers.
Excellent. Alejandro?
Well, bring us home. The first thing I would say is that you really need to take a holistic approach to transformation. Many folks think in silos, and we need to get away from that. You need to, digital means something different for different people. And even in this day and age, when a lot of companies have already gone through that, you still find that. So you really need to start thinking in a holistic way, but also think in ecosystems, right? Don't think of your company as the only individual unit as part of that transformation journey. Think of ecosystems, and we can talk more about that whenever you want. There is no better time, I would say, to take advantage than, and you stole my line, by the way, you owe me $5. My good friend from Chicago would tell you that, he used to work with Ram Emanuel. And so I always enjoy that, his phrase, because there is no better time today than to take advantage of increasing what you're doing, increasing your capacity, increasing the ability to really innovate, which is the last thing I would say. Don't think of innovation as something that you sort of, well, it's a one more line item in my budget, and if I'm lucky, and then I get to do it when I have time. Don't, think of it as a necessary thing that you need to do, and make sure that you find the right partner to go and help you do that.
Excellent. Yeah. And I would say in our experience at ITSourceTEK, we've seen with a lot of our bigger clients that have been very slow to move. We've helped them leverage technologies that really help automate the processes of either their development stack, consolidating their security stack. Really, I think to put my own 2 cents on it is find a way to consolidate all those technologies as much as you can and simplify your organization. If you want to have speed and be able to really embrace the digital plan, you've got to consolidate, and you've got to make things more simple. So, that would be my 2 cents. And with that, Viv, I don't know if there's any questions from the community, but we've got, sorry, we ate into our 15 minutes a little bit, but we've still got 13.
Yeah, so let's go ahead and open it up for Q&A. I think there's some folks out there that have a few questions.
I can jump in if that's okay.
Perfect.
Okay.
So now that we've been in this new norm for 5.5 months, how has your company or your client's risk appetite changed? And what is the biggest challenge or risk that you're trying to overcome that you never had to deal with before?
That's a great question. Who wants to take that on?
Interesting. I mean, I'm glad that we left the tough questions to the end, right? So it's good. I don't know, Jason. I mean, I think our risk appetite, I would say that has increased, right? Because we need to be more aggressive to continue supporting what we do, right? And we actually have challenged ourselves to some of the typical compliance rules and regulations that we always give it for granted. And one of the examples that we did was that we start delivering money in person to houses. If you were to do this a year ago and talk to regulators, they would say, no, you cannot do that, right? So we start pushing a little bit the boundaries on what we can do and what risk we'll take, knowing that money can be lost. Many things you can imagine. You can imagine the debates that we have for that. And we were delivering 800 payments or in Jordan, for example, on a daily basis. Not like we were in the millions, right? But so we definitely kind of start challenging the status quo on many of the items that we're doing to be able to do that. The other part, the other part was, I mean, still, I'll tell you this, that we get all these questions all the time, is like, as I'm assuming all of you, our employees are getting overworked. The fact that we have all this Zoom and things that is one after the other one after the other one, and because you're not leaving home, you can pick up the phone and I can call somebody, hey, open your computer and do A, B, and C. So that's another part that we are definitely figure out how we can not go back to normal, because I don't know if we're going to get back to normal. I mean, everybody kind of thinks differently, but how can we continue working at the same capacity with individuals and we're not burning folks or teams around the world? So that's kind of the other part that we are definitely looking into changing, because we did, and we cannot appreciate more our employees and how everybody, their commitment has been an amazing thing. But now we need to kind of come back and figure out how do we have a back to work-life balance. But we definitely increase our risk levels and risk levels of also losing people. So, and it's paying off.
Excellent.
I think you said it very well. For us, it's been, how do we help our customers? How do we help them adjust and adapt and get caught up or accelerate? Internally, yeah, Ernesto, I think same thing. I think empathy has taken a higher level of importance, because yes, we are connected, but we also have our entire lives happening in the exact same location. And as we adjust and continue being productive, we have to be cognizant of people's realities, but also from the business perspective, not all regions are going through the same at the exact same time. So we have to keep tab on what are the health regulations, what are the security concerns, what are the legal implications. You know, many times it differs within the same country. So the level of scrutiny has heightened, but I agree. I think empathy to people and staying very focused on how we help our customers has been paramount.
Jason, I'll add one last thing to that, and I think that from my perspective, our customers, smartly so, many of them have become less risk adverse, right? And they've been much more aggressive in figuring out, man, if I don't hurry up, you know, something else is going to come and it's going to hit us again. And I don't know about you, Jason, but if I was a betting man, I think we're going to get hit again with something, you know, whether it's COVID or the next thing. You know, I was talking to a friend of mine who lives in China about the sort of about the swine flu, right, which was almost got out of control, right, a couple of months ago. And so something else will come. And to Ernesto's point, I don't know if we're going to go back ever to February, 19th or whatever it was of, this year, but we'll definitely go back to something else where we're more prepared, more vigilant. But now these businesses have learned that they need to be much more aggressive. And security is a topic that we probably haven't talked a lot about. But, a lot of nefarious people have been trying to take even more advantage in these times of, hacking more companies. I won't mention the name of one, but one that is in the cruise industry just got hit big time a couple of days ago.
Yeah, and that's I would say to add a little bit as well. I think everybody's risk appetite across all industries has definitely changed to take more risk, and even from a compliance perspective, as Ernesto somewhat touched on, I think regulators and all of the parties involved have loosened up a little bit so that people can get the things that they need. One of the biggest challenges, while securing the environment, I think is definitely up there. I think budgets have been also equally challenging. During especially the beginning of the pandemic, I think everybody just froze, and it was I think devastating to many businesses and organizations that needed to move and start driving in a different direction, but everything just froze. And so where we've seen some clients really be able to hit the throttle, like our insurance industry clients of ours, they've had claims go down exponentially, so they've seen record profits and have been able to really embrace all the wish lists that IT and security had. Let's go ahead and buy it all. And it's been really interesting to watch that happen, whereas other industries, they have the desire, but they don't have the budget. And so I think that's something we're going to have to work through. There's a lot of pent up demand for security, because a lot of companies just flat out can't afford to make the changes that they need to embrace this digital strategy. So great question though. Let's see if we've got some more from the community.
I have a question. As IT leaders, we are always searching for speed and being more agile. And you all today talk about the need to be faster, but also we are always stuck with this monolithic architecture, legacy systems, etc. So what are you guys doing to increase the speed and agility to deliver solutions and experiences?
Well, go ahead, Alejandro.
Well, I could kick us off because I just got, before this, I just got off a call with a CIO talking about this stuff. So it's fresh in my head. So I think I've mentioned it before, but one of the things that we're doing is we're being very, very aggressive around moving up budgets. And so I think Brian mentioned, you know, IT budgets sometimes being frozen. But the one thing that never happened in the pandemic, at least for most of the clients that we work with, is their budgets never went down. The IT budget is one of the things that sort of stayed at least flat, or not in many cases increased. So what we've done and helped our customers with is sort of reallocate some of those fundings to accelerate the modernization of this legacy system. So that's one thing. I think that the other thing is, believe it or not, you know, I don't know exactly what company you represent, but in many companies that we work with, the culture of Agile is still not there, right? And so we continue training our customers in order to sort of try to take advantage of that and continuing, you know, trying to be much more effective around how to work with the business. And what we're doing much more than we were doing before is training the business more than what we're training actually IT, you know, so training the business to really understand this and allow them to take the lead in sort of doing that. So those are probably a couple of things that I would mention right at the top of my head.
Excellent.
I mean, what I'm about to say is like, unfortunately, you just have to embrace it and jump and start doing it. There's not an easy way. What we've been doing, definitely, we made a decision on our cloud strategy. And even when we made a decision to go full cloud native, then the regulators told us now we need to be a dual cloud, so that actually kind of slowed down a little bit. But we're doing two different things. One is changing what we can as we get to the cloud, and then we will change afterwards, and the cloud will continue modifying. But we also change the processes. How do we run business, and how do we do agile and safe and many other technology and processes within the technology. But I think the problem is that there's not a one secret way to do it pretty fast, in my opinion. But if you don't start, you're just delaying the end. And we're just prioritizing what we need in terms of can be a much more customer impact. We just launched last week one of our key products on a business to business, fully in the cloud, much ahead of the entire migration that we're doing. And people would think that, you know, how was possible? I mean, we were moving in this direction is because, again, we decide to just do it and we embrace it. And then we took 2-3 things, and we'll be launching a couple more in the next few weeks. But because we're just focusing on trying to take those new things and have our customers support it. So again, I don't think there's one way to do it, but more is just to start.
So Fernando, one thing that I did notice also about 3 months ago or so, it was that that factor of shadow IT within corporations has gone down. Right. And so good or bad, but so unless you're in the business, I think that's a good thing. But and that has allowed the process to accelerate and not get bogged down in so much stuff. Right. 3 weeks ago, I was in a Zoom. The customer calls it a hero party, and it was essentially their entire IT team. And now he has weekly hero parties where he congratulates the IT team over the work that they've been doing, frankly. And this is like way long overdue. But as a factor of that, in the last hero party, he announced this new reform, I guess, that he had regarding the shadow IT factor. And so that gives me hope that hopefully one day that will be less of an issue.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
All right. Well, I think we're at the end of our session. So, you know, I'd like to really thank all of our panel and everybody that joined in the community here. Very amazing, I think, points made. Hopefully everybody learned something, and, you know, feel free to reach out to us individually as well if there are certain areas or problem statements that you're trying to solve within your organization. I know, you know, every one of us on this panel is very committed to HITEC and helping the familia in any way we can. So, you know, please don't hesitate. And Viviana, thank you so much for, you know, helping assemble this panel and for offering this platform.
It was such a pleasure to have all four of you join us today. Thank you so, so much. It was a great way to relaunch the HITEC live sessions. So thank you all so much, Brian, Alejandro, Ernesto, Katty. Always such a pleasure to collaborate with all of you. So thanks again. Look forward to having you back. Part 2.
Awesome.
Thank you for the invitation. Bye, everyone. Take care.
Bye, everybody. See you September 11th. Stay tuned. Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.